Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Peteman Reviews. Today we have the Transformers Autobots Sparkabots, namely Sizzle, Fizzle and Guzzle. Now I've done all three together because the transformation is really simplistic on all of them. Their main gimmick was the fact that they produce sparks out here, cold sparks out of here by friction from a wheel rubbing onto flint. As you can see, in all cases, over time, this action no longer works on any of them as the flint's worn away, which kind of nullifies some of the major gimmicks of them, render them into quite simple mini-bots. Similar to Wheelie before, they are at the lower end of this Transformer scale in that they're simple, the price points were simple to match as well. The gimmick, if you take away the gimmick, they were the same pretty much as your old mini-bots, people like Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, though perhaps these guys aren't quite as detailed as that. So we'll start off with Sizzle. In terms of car, it's obviously a drag strip racer, or meant to be a drag strip racer or a hot rod. It's probably the best looking of the three, a little bit of individuality to it. Transforming him, you just pull out like that, flips like that. There we are, he's done. In robot mode, as you can see, he's got little arms there. You can see just within there. Decent amount of detailing on the head, but that's about it. And unfortunately, the wheel does look a little bit out of place, but they're all the same on this. Fizzle is a futuristic style drag strip racer. See, this one's got a little bit of damage where this has been bent in the past. Yeah, it's alright. It's reasonably, probably the least good looking of all of them. Nevertheless, same transformation. This one's really stiff, but the idea is I just have to move the arms out of the way because it's a really tight transformation. See, exactly the same. And then the robot transforms. Similar detailing, I guess, and you can see the arms there. I guess, to be fair, it is actually a little bit better than the other one, Sizzle, just because the head's a bit more. And then Guzzle. Guzzle is a tank and is probably the most convincing of all of them in old mode. The gun does fire up and down and move a little bit. You do have a little bit of limited movement on the tank, but not a lot. His transformation, however, is the basic of all. That's literally it. There is nothing to flip down here, and the arms have a limited movement because the tank turret does get in the way. Again, in terms of detailing, that's a surprisingly high level of detailing on his face. That is basically it. There's not much more you can really say about them. They work, and given, as I say, the fact that all three are a very low price point, well, I say very low price point, for Transformers they are, it's to be expected that they are a bit more of the basic mould. Certainly they're a heck of a lot better than the Firecons, the Decepticon alternative. I won't go too much into those, but just to give you an idea, that Cindersaw in his robot mode, it just looks awful. There's no articulation at all, none whatsoever. And given that these were released at the same time, that's a really bad robot made there. They're a similar height, but honestly, they just look rubbish. It's noticeable that in the comics, I think there's maybe one scene, just one, where these guys transform like that. In every other mode, time you see them, they're in their actual Firecon mode, which is far more effective. But they really were rubbish in the robot modes. These guys at least look half decent in robot modes, and you get some armed articulation. Not much, but some. So, compared with someone like the Generation 1 version of Jazz, so the big gun, it's a commemorative edition, they hold up pretty well, and then we compare them against the Toy World's Hegemon, aka Megatron. Again, they hold up quite well. Obviously Megatron's a lot bigger, you'd expect that, but actually that's quite a decent size comparison. So there we are, that's the three Autobot mini-bots, the Sparkabots, Sizzle, Fizzle and Guzzle. There's not a lot more to say for them really. This is why I've done all three at once. Transformations are really simplistic. I think the best one of them all has to be Guzzle, just because while his very limited articulation, very easy transformation, is perhaps the more convincing of them all. Fizzle, the wheels really don't do him any favour in this mode, and in his drag strip mode, or dune buggy mode maybe. I'm not quite sure what it is. Sizzle looks very good in car mode. Robot mode's a little bit letting him down a bit. Mainly because I think the arms just look a bit odd with how they're placed compared with the others. But again, a lot of that is just due to the limited detailing. Whereas Guzzle, quite a good tank mode and a reasonably detailed, probably the most detailed of all three of them, robot mode. So that's why I just rate Guzzle the best. In terms of buying them, yeah, they're worth getting. You're unlikely to find anywhere the spark still works, so it's more for completing your collection rather than for having them for the gimmick. That said, don't spend a lot of money on them. Try and get them as a group if you can do, because individually I wouldn't suggest they're worth having. They're better than the Firecons, but that's mainly just because the Firecons are really bad rather than the Sparkabots are really good. But there you go, you can't have it always, can you? And again, bearing in mind, these are the very cheap end of the market. There's not going to have been a huge amount spent on them. A lot of it would have gone on the actual sparks inside, and unfortunately that doesn't work now, so that's their big selling point that's no longer there. So there we are, thank you very much for watching. If you agree or disagree or just have anything to say, please link on the comments below, or even please write in the comments below, and then please click on the other links and look at the other videos, and we'll see you for the next video. Thank you very much. Goodbye.